Hello, everyone. Welcome to Therapeutic Yoga class. Today, we are going to do a really good class focusing on anterior hip pain. Now, when you look at the research, it's called lots of different things. It's called anterior hip pain. It's called groin pain. It's called hip-related pain. It's got lots of different names when you look at research, at least in the physical therapy world. But we're going to tackle groin pain and anterior hip pain in today's class. So here's what you need for class. You need a chair for the beginning of class, but we're only going to use it for a few minutes, and then we're going to kind of move it out of the way and make our way down to our mat. Down on your mat, you're going to need your yoga bolster and a yoga block. And then you're also going to need a small hand towel. So I'm going to teach you a quick and easy way to kind of decompress the front of your hip joint if you are, in fact, one of these individuals that has groin type of symptoms. So what you'll do with your hand towel, just a little FYI, because this is the way it works easy, is fold it lengthwise, fold it half of lengthwise, and then the four ends, start at the four ends and kind of roll it so that you've made yourself approximately a 2 or a 3-inch roll. So that's what we're going to do and use today when we get down to our mat with our towel. So who is this class really for as far as population of individuals? Because groin pain or anterior hip pain is very generic, and the class is going to kind of focus on a couple different patient populations. One is groin strains. So we have lots of muscles in this area that can get overused or strained. The second group of individuals that this class really is highlighting is individuals that have hip arthritis. So your hip is a nice deep ball and socket. And unfortunately with arthritis, sometimes you get some excess bone, and that creates a lot of the issues related to groin pain. Another patient population that we're going to be focusing on today are individuals that may have heard of the words femoral acetabular impingement, or FAI. So basically it means that you've got something blocking your hip joint from moving efficiently. And then the final two groups that some of the stuff that we're going to do today will be very beneficial for are individuals that have inguinal hernias or sports hernias. So obviously in the acute stages of those injuries, you're going to treat the inflammation and pain. But as you resume back to life, it's really nice to know certain specific hip stretches and strengthening exercises that those conditions need. All right, so I think I've covered the majority of the conditions that can affect the front of the hip, except for one. One more condition are individuals that have instability or loose hips. Believe it or not, that's a patient population as well. So that's who we're going to target today. Now, with that being said, when you have hip problems, one of the key things that you need to change are the habits of how you do certain things with your hips. So in the medical and physical therapy world, we call this movement pattern training or motion control training. So it's basically changing the habit of how you do certain things. So what I want to highlight today are the two common things that are oftentimes trained when you're dealing with some sort of groin pain. So the first one, since we're already sitting in a chair, is sit to stand. All right. Now, the thing about sitting to standing is if you've got a groin pain or you've got any sort of anterior hip pain, you learn to accommodate when you get up and down. So the common things that people do is they get up and down through their better leg. If my right hip is my bad problem, they get up and down with more weight on the good leg. And what tends to happen is you start to see these knees tracking inward as you're working on getting up and down. Groin strains or something where you've got a lot of inflammation in that area, you may see the person doing the exact opposite. So bringing the leg out to the side so that they don't have to use that hip to sit to stand. So what I want to go over with you today, and we'll do it a little yoga inspired since we'll add breathing to it, is I want to teach you really the efficient way to sit to stand when you're dealing with an anterior groin issue. So have yourself a seat, pull yourself to the front half of your seat, And look down at your feet and make sure that your feet look like they are a little bit wider than hip distance. So remember that hip distance is approximately 2 fist width. I'm going to be wider than my 2 fists with my legs today. Now, if you're currently dealing with hip pain that is acute, meaning it's less than 2 weeks old, you might want to take your legs even a little bit wider, but you don't want to take them narrower. All right, so now that we've done that, with your feet hip distance or a little bit more than hip distance, I want you to make sure that you know how to hinge from your hip. So if bone is stopping you from hinging, that's a problem. But you can learn to decompress your hip merely by pushing your hands down into your legs and hinging your weight over your body. So I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see me do that. And I want you to practice that with me. So in this position, if I hinge from my hips about to stand up, and I can't do that because my hip is painful, then oftentimes what you can do is you can traction yourself up and over your hip to give that hip a little bit more space. Now it is using a lot of arm strength, but give it a try yourself. Place your hands on your legs and hinge your hips, but push into your hands so that you can feel like you're unloading your trunk a little bit off of your hip joints. Now that you've done that, take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, push into your feet, and then squeeze your glutes as you stand. So let's practice that one more time. Take a nice deep inhale, exhale, sitting down, but pushing into your feet, making sure that those knees do not track inward. So they stay straight over those second toes. All right. So hinge slightly forward. If you get any sort of impingement or pain, that's as far as you can go right now. Let's talk about how you can do it a little bit more efficiently. So take those hands onto those thighs, push into the hands into the thighs so you can kind of lift your rib cage and traction off of that hip. Track the knees over those second toes. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, lift the hips, and then push into your feet, and squeeze your glutes. So it sounds really simple to do, but if you've learned different inefficient ways of sitting and standing, oftentimes what can happen is you're driving your own pain pattern with your hip. Final thing that I would say, have yourself a seat one more time. If my right hip is my dysfunctional hip, then oftentimes placing that leg down into the side of the chair that you're sitting in. Now, obviously you can't do that if it's a car seat, but if you place your leg down into the side so you keep your hip in a much open angle compared to a closed hip angle, you can do the same thing and not cause pain to your hip. So do it with me one time. Take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, hinge over your leg. Put all of your weight down into the leg that's in front of you. Line up the knee with your toes. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, push your hips off the chair and keep pushing and pinching and squeeze through the glutes. So really easy methodology on how to sit and stand if you do have anterior or groin pain. All right, everybody do this with me. Take your chair and go to the back of your chair so you're standing next to the back of your chair. We're going to use our yoga block as a step today. So I'm using the yoga block in its flattest position. You do what is comfortable for you, but I would advise at home to try to use the flattest position in a yoga block that's 4 inches. So that would be a really small step. Now, I want to go over this, not take up a lot of your yoga time, but it's important for us all to understand how to do steps, okay? So if I am standing up on this step, oftentimes when you have hip impingement, groin pain, arthritis in that hip, when you go to step down, you let your knee fall inward, you let your hip shear out to the side. So there's a lot of misalignment through the hip. So what I want you to do is I want you to practice with me. Use your chair for support. Put your right foot up onto that yoga block, okay? Track the knee over the second toe. Take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, step that knee over the toe. So you're engaging the hip muscles. You have alignment through your leg bone. Try that one more time and we'll practice on the left. So step up onto your yoga block. Line your kneecap with your second toe. Take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, track that knee forward over that second toe as you use those hip muscles. Really nice. Now, just because we can't leave the left leg out, switch your chair to the opposite side just for a second. Place your left foot up onto that yoga block. Once your foot is up, chairs for your support, right? Once you have yourself in that position, allow yourself to see where the kneecap goes relative to the second toe. Take a nice deep inhale, and then as you exhale, track the kneecap over that second toe. You've got it. So you're not letting what's called a dynamic valgus happen, where the knee is falling inward and you're not using any hip muscle strength whatsoever. One last time, let's give it a try, and then we will make it down to our mat. So line yourself kneecap to second toe. Take a nice deep inhale, and then as you exhale, track that knee perfectly over that second toe as you step down. So the next time you're at home doing any sort of steps or stairs, just take that moment to be mindful. How am I stepping down the stairs? How am I stepping up the stairs? Am I keeping alignment through my legs and stopping myself from making my hip problem worse? Okay, so let's make it down to our mat. So here's what I would like each and every person to do. Allow yourself to move your chair out of the way, and then have yourself seated in easy pose, crisscross applesauce, tailor sitting, whatever you want to call it, down on your mat, and we will continue. All right, everyone, let's get working on these hip joints for flexibility and strength. So we're going to start in a seated position so that we can really start to open up through the inner thigh muscles. Oftentimes when we have groin pain, those are the key muscles that are significantly tight. So here's what I want you to do. Take your right leg and place your right leg down, up and towards the right corner of your mat. And then take your left foot and place it to the inside of the right leg. Now, when you get into that position right now, your pelvis is going to look like it's pointed straight forward. I want you to take your pelvis and point it towards your left knee. So the easy way to do that is just to take your left pelvis and pull it back, or take your right leg and make it longer. You kind of pick whichever way is the easiest way for you to do that. But see if you can get your pelvis and your rib cage all lined up with this left knee. Now, I'm sure if you're like me, you're already feeling gentle stretching through this inner thigh area on the right side. If you're feeling too much that you don't think you're going to be able to do some good, efficient breathing, then simply bring your leg more inward. If you're not feeling enough yet without moving your pelvis, then take your leg a little bit further. Now, all I want you to do in this position is we're going to work on pelvic movement. So we're going to be rolling our pelvis forward, rolling our pelvis backward. So take a nice deep inhale, and as you inhale, feel yourself arch your back and roll your pelvis forward. Aha, you should really feel that inner thigh muscle kind of kicking into a nice, good stretch there. Now, can you take those right toes and point them up? All right, now in that position, gently place your right hand either on your shin bone, on your thigh, not directly on top of your knee, so you feel what's comfortable for you. Just a gentle, gentle side bend as we maintain that stretch. So left hand lifted up, and then as you exhale, just gently side bend as you bring the weight into that right hip. Now keep that back arch so that you feel that entire elongation through that thigh. Holding this position, give me a nice deep inhale. And exhale. One more time. Nice deep inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Slowly dropping the left arm down, slowly bringing that right leg in. All right. So doing everything all over on the opposite side. Take your left leg out to the side, right foot into the left inner thigh. Again, your pelvis is perfectly pointed forward at this point. We need to get it pointed towards that right leg. So again, you can just pull your pelvis back to get it towards that leg, or you can lengthen your right leg. Whichever works better for you, That is the way to do it. Now that you have yourself in that position and the pelvis and the rib cage and the shoulders are all pointed towards this right side, you probably already have a good stretch on this left side. Again, if it's too much that you don't feel like you can move your pelvis any, you might want to bring your leg a little bit more forward. If it's not enough, you can simply let your leg go a little bit further out to the side. All right. Let's take that nice deep inhale and arch your back, roll your pelvis forward. You should really get a nice good stretch through that inner thigh. Keeping yourself right here. Left hand, either place it on your thigh or on your shin, but not directly on your kneecap. Right arm, take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, just a gentle side bend over. So it's not about the back today, it's about the hip. So make sure you keep your back arched. You keep that focus on that inner thigh. All right, keeping it right here. Let's do 2 breaths. Nice deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. One more breath, deep inhale in. And exhaling out. Beautiful. Bringing that right hand down, sliding that left leg in. All right, one more stretch in this position before we change positions, and that's butterfly pose. So butterfly pose, what you're going to be working on doing is taking the bottom of your feet together. In yoga, Baddha Konasana is the name, but I want you to see if you can touch your feet together. Now, if you have lots of issues in your groin, then your feet might be further away from you so that you're in less external rotation of these hips. Bring your feet into the point that you feel that there's tension into the hips, but not pain into the hips. And then if you can take your hands and kind of interlace them and kind of basket weave them around your feet. If you cannot reach your feet because your feet are way out there, you can take your hands and just place them around your shin bones. So do what is comfortable for you at home that doesn't create pain in the hip. Now, oftentimes with butterfly pose, what I see patients doing and yoga practitioners is they just fold their body over. You're not getting the hip joint when you do that. So here's what I want you to do. Really focus on that pelvic movement. Take that inhale, and as you inhale, arch your low back, pull that belly forward towards your heels as much as you can. Once you have your belly towards your heels as much as you can, then if you want to, gently use your biceps of your upper body. Take another deep inhale, and as you exhale, forward bend a little bit more. All right, be where is comfortable for you. Hold yourself there, lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Give me a nice deep inhale into your belly. And exhaling out. Let's do one more nice good breath here. Deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. You've got it. Slowly coming out of butterfly pose, and give yourself the chance to kind of spread your wings and move those butterfly legs a little tiny bit, just to open up through your hip rotators and your psoas muscle. That's what's coming next. All right, now gently swing your feet to the one side or the other. Make your way up into hands and knees. Once you're making your way up into hands and knees, make sure that you've got your yoga bolster somewhere near you. You're going to use it in just a few moments, okay? But find yourself in hands and knees. Make sure your hips your knees are hip distance. And then look straight back. Make sure you can't see your feet on the inside or the outside, and then stack those hips directly on top of those knees. Walk those hands forward so that the hands, wrists, and elbows are directly underneath the shoulders. And then have your index fingers pointed forward, thumbs, spread them inward so you get that good stretch through your carpal bones and your wrist joints. All right, let's go through 3 cat-cows here. So as you inhale, sink your belly, lift your tailbone, shoulder blades back and down, lift your chest, gazing upward. And then as you exhale, tuck that tailbone under, curl that spine, abdominal in, chin to chest, gaze inward, lengthen the back of your neck. And 2 more times. Inhale, sinking everything downward. And then as you exhale, curling everything upward. And one more time, nice deep inhaling in. And as you exhale, curling under, curling under, curling under, and then coming back into that regular position. All right, we're making our way up to knees, and we're going to be on our knees for quite a bit today because it is about focusing on our hips. So if you're at home and you've got sensitive knees, now is the time to kind of double or triple your yoga mat so that you've got some extra protection for those knees at home. All right, once you're there, come up into kneeling. Allow yourself to take your yoga bolster and place it on your left side. With the yoga bolster on your left side, take your left foot and kind of line it up so that it stacks up with that yoga bolster. Check in with your right knee and your hip and make sure that they are perfectly vertical. And so once you have yourself in that position, make sure to look back and see that your foot is straight behind you. Bolster is strictly for balance here today, but we're going to add a little bit of trunk rotation, so it will be nice to have this bolster to hold on to. All right, right hand, grab a hold of that pelvis for me. Now, really make sure that you don't have yourself leaning back. So in this position, without moving your pelvis, you shouldn't feel a lot of tension in your groin or anterior hip. If you're already feeling tension, allow yourself just to lean your body forward a little bit so that it lines up a little bit more with your leg bone. Okay, now take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, tuck that tailbone under. Feel that beautiful stretch through that hip. You're stretching your psoas and your iliacus tendons here. Also getting the other two hip flexors, but maintain really squeezing through that glute in this position. Now with that right hand, take an inhale, lift it up. And then as you exhale, gentle side bend over. Keep that tailbone tucked under, holding right here. Nice deep inhale in and exhale. One more time, nice deep inhale. And exhale, take that right hand, lift it all the way up. And then as you exhale, drop that hand down. Now, here's what I want you to do. If you need that bolster for balance, keep that bolster for balance. If you want to give yourself a little bit more of a challenge, place the bolster away, take your left hand and place it onto your left thigh, just above your knee. Make sure you haven't let your hip fall forward of your knee. All right, take a nice deep inhale here. Exhale, tuck under again. Now what I want you to do is drop your left elbow to your left thigh. Right hand, as you inhale, lift it up. Now, can you keep that tuck under? Can you reach nice and high? Nice deep inhale into your belly here. And exhaling out. One more breath. Nice deep inhale in. And exhaling out, dropping that right hand down, maybe placing that left hand on the thigh and pushing yourself back up. All right, let's do it all over again on the opposite side. So take your left knee down, bring your right leg up. I'm going to turn myself around just so that I'm staying facing you guys. So in this position, make sure you've got yourself lined up so that your knee and your hip are perfectly stacked. Look back at that left leg. Make sure that that left leg is straight behind that left thigh or left hip area. Right leg, bring it nice and forward so that it's close to that bolster. Now, in this position, left hand onto the pelvis. Take a nice deep inhale here. And on the exhale, tuck that tailbone under. You've got it. Now keep that tuck. Let's do something with this left hand. Inhale it up. And then as you exhale, side bend it over. Feel that beautiful opening through all of that left hip. Holding this position, 2 breaths, ladies and gentlemen. Deep inhale in and exhaling out. One more time. Keep those abdominals engaged. Deep inhale in. Exhaling out. Beautiful. Left hand, bring it down. Right hand. If you have good enough balance and you're comfortable with it, just let your bolster go to the side. Take your right hand right now onto your right thigh. All right, now in this position, same idea as we just did. Drop the right elbow down onto the right knee. Take that nice deep inhale, and as you exhale, tuck that tailbone under. With that left hand, take a nice deep inhale and lift open into rotation. You've got it. Now hold yourself right here. Nice deep inhale in and exhaling out. One more time. Nice deep inhaling in And exhaling out. Beautiful, guys. Drop that left hand down, right hand onto that thigh, pushing yourself back up. Okay, now place your right knee back down onto the floor and then turn yourself lengthwise onto your yoga mat. So what we're going to be doing is placing ourselves so that you're going to be able to bring your legs out to the side. So if you've got, I'm going to show you something real quick. This is a trick some people don't realize. If you've got your yoga mat doubled up or tripled up, and you want to be alternating between one knee and the other. If I want to start with my left knee, look, I just do that. When I go to my right knee, I just do that. So it's a nice, good trick to know how to use your yoga mat to get a little bit of extra support. All right, so this is the position you're going in. So you're trying to get yourself stacked over your left hip. We're going to be focusing on doing what's called an inferior glide of this right hip. Now, if balance is a significant challenge for you, well, that's the perfect time right now to take that yoga bolster and hold on to it so you feel comfortable with your balance. Once you have that yoga bolster in place, check in that your right ankle, your right knee, your right hip all line up with that left hip. Now, for a lot of us in this position, if we've got a lot of dysfunction with this right hip, your pelvis is kind of still tilted all the way on an angle. So the first thing I want you to do, place your hands on your pelvis and see if you can line your pelvis up and square it to the floor. Listen, you may already feel that interior or those adductor muscles firing up and stretching when you do that. But see if you can keep that pelvis nice and level with the floor rather than angled up and over that left hip. All right, now in this position, take your right hand and find that crease of that right hip, because all you're going to do is push down. If this ball and socket is an unhappy socket because there's too much extra bone or there's too much impingement and you start to push that hip down, oh, it's pretty happy that you're doing it. All right, let's do something with this left hand. Take a nice deep inhale, lift it up. And then as you exhale, just a slight gentle side bend over. So can you get your left hand perfectly in line with your left leg? That's how little of a side bend you're doing. But really use your arm strength on your right leg to push that right hip down towards your mat. Holding yourself right here, let's do a nice deep inhale. And exhale. One more time. Nice deep inhale. And exhale. All right, left hand. Take a deep inhale, reach high. And then as you exhale, drop that hand down. Switch yourself over to the opposite side. So see if you can try that cool trick I told you where you just switch your yoga mat from one side to the other side and then take your leg off to the side. Once you're in that position, we got to get the alignment first. So again, if you need your yoga bolster for balance, please use your bolster for balance. But check in that that right leg is running perfectly perpendicular to the floor. Once you've got it perpendicular to the floor, left ankle, left knee, left hip all line up with that right leg, right knee. Okay, now place your hands on your pelvis. If you've got a tight left hip, tight inner thighs on this left side, chances are your pelvis is kind of angled and certainly not parallel to the floor. So take this moment to align that pelvis as much up to the floor as you can. You will likely feel lots of tension in that inner thigh if you've got a hip that is tight. So once you're in this position, don't lose it. Keep that pelvis nice and level, but take your left hand and find that crease of that left hip joint. So again, all you're doing is trying to push directly down. You're stretching the inferior capsule of that hip, oftentimes really tight if there's excess bony growth because of impingement or arthritis. All right, now in this position, let's give that right hand something to do. Nice deep inhale, lift that hand up. And then as you exhale, just enough side bend that that right arm shoulder lines perfectly up with that right leg bone. Pushing down with that left hand, really giving yourself a good opportunity here to get mobility through your left hip. 2 deep inhales and exhales. So deep inhale in, exhaling out. Let's do that one more time. Nice deep inhale in and exhaling out. You've got it. Right hand, inhale it high, and then exhale, dropping it back in. All right, now we're going to do a little bit of trunk rotation here on top of the positioning that you're in. So just stay right here. We're going to move back to the other side in just a second. But in this position, can you take your left hand and line it up on your yoga mat directly on top in line with your right knee? So the left leg is out to the side. The left hand is going to line up with that right knee. All right, now in this position, allow yourself to work on that pelvic movement. So tuck under, tilt under, tuck under, tilt under. Where do you feel your inner thigh muscles the most? All right, now here's the fun part. Now, if you're somebody that's got osteoporosis, scoliosis, or whatever, this is a non-weight bearing position for your spine. So you're safe to do rotation here. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin, look down at your hand on that left side. Right hand, take an inhale, bring it out to the side of you. And then as you exhale, can you rotate and open your body to that right side? All right, 2 good breaths here. Nice deep inhale in and exhaling out. One more time, deep inhale in, exhaling out, dropping that right hand down. Keep the right hand now in line with the right knee. Left hand, bring it out to the side on your inhale and exhale, open yourself up. Yes, definitely feels easier than doing it on the other side. Maybe lengthen your neck, gaze up to your left hand this time. Give me a nice deep inhale here and an exhale. One more beautiful breath. Deep inhale in and an exhale, dropping that left hand down and doing a quick switch of your legs. So left knee goes where the right knee is, right leg goes out to the side of your body. Now, left knee, right hand, line them up. In that position, left hand, take a nice deep inhale, reach it out to the side of your body, lengthen your neck, settle your chin, look at your right hand. As you exhale, twist and open that hand up towards the ceiling. Eyes can go with that left thumb if you want. Holding right here. Nice deep inhale in and exhaling out. One more breath. Deep inhaling in and exhaling out, dropping that hand down, placing the left hand where the right hand is. Here we go, right hand. Make sure that you kind of tuck and tilt your pelvis and find that perfect amount of tension in your inner thigh. Take an inhale, right hand out to the side. As you exhale, really open up and lengthen. Can you stack shoulders on shoulders, wrists on wrists? Gazing at those the right thumb and fingers. Deep inhale in and exhaling out. One more breath, nice deep inhale in and exhaling out, dropping that right hand down, bringing that right knee in, turning yourself on your yoga mat. Now, on your yoga mat, if you doubled it up, go ahead and flatten it out. Find that hip distance between the knees. Let's give ourselves a nice good break here. So take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, tuck the tailbone under, sit those hips down into those heels. Drop the belly down onto the thighs, chest onto the knees, crown of the head onto the floor. Allow your elbows to rest down next to your knees. And then take a nice deep inhale into your belly. And exhaling out. One more breath, deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. Oh no, that's too good. Let's do one more breath. Deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. You've got it. All right, now here's what I want you to do. Take your bolster and place your bolster so that it's across your yoga mat. We're going to do some fire hydrants here, and we're going to play with frog pose. So both of those are going to be pretty challenging for these hips, but I don't want your wrists to get tired. So we're going to be on our elbows instead of our wrists. So in this position, bring yourself up into hands and knees, okay? And then once you have yourself up into hands and knees, hips are stacked directly on top of the knees, then just drop yourself down onto your elbows. And so you can see in this position, if you're using your bolster, you have a fairly good tabletop position. Now, if you are someone that's really tall, little hint from the yoga field, turn your bolster lengthwise, and then all of a sudden you've got yourself in alignment. So you don't have to use the flattest part of your bolster here. Do what works best for you. All right, now that you have that position and your arms are kind of stacked directly underneath your shoulders, allow yourself to brace and tighten through your abdominals, spread and through the shoulder blades, lengthen your neck and tuck your chin into your chest. Now, start to push a little bit of weight into your right elbow and into your left knee, but don't let your pelvis move. Pushing down into your right elbow and left knee. As you take an inhale, try to lift your right leg up and out to the side. So fire hydrant pose. So all you're doing is squeezing those glute muscles as you lift that leg up to the side. Make sure your knee doesn't drop or your toes lift up. Try to keep your shin bone perfectly parallel to the floor, and then bring that leg back down. All right, let's try the opposite side. So push into the left elbow, push down into the right leg bone. So keep that stability. Make sure those abdominals are nice and tight. Take that inhale and lift the left leg up into fire hydrant. Can you look at your shin bone and make sure that it isn't that your knee is down and your toes are up, but rather it's nice and level. Holding here and then dropping back down. All right, we're going to do one more on each. So push into the right elbow, left knee. Take an inhale and pick that right leg up into fire hydrant. Get that shin bone level. Give me a nice deep inhale. And then slowly lower that leg down. One more time. Push into your left elbow, your right knee. Then take that inhale, left fire hydrant. Pick that leg up. Get that shin bone nice and level. Hold it here. And then as you exhale, gently lower it down. Yes, those hip muscles do not like it, but they need it because they're weak. All right, so we're going to go now into a modification of pigeon pose, because a lot of times when we have anterior groin pain, one of the key problems is that the piriformis muscle is a little bit dysfunctional and tight. So here's where that towel is going to come into helping us here. We're going to use our bolster. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit yourself so that your right sit bone is on your bolster, and then position yourself so that your right knee is in the center of your chest. So your right pelvis and sit bone are on your bolster. Your right knee is in the center of your chest. Now, the left leg, for the sake of this particular class, just let the leg have the knee bent and the shin bone lined up with the side of the mat. So we're kind of taking the psoas muscle out of this because I really want you to learn how to decompress this hip. If we were focusing on full pigeon, then obviously this left leg is going to be all the way back. But that's going to put so many of you already in too much of a hip disadvantage. Take your towel and place your towel deep and into the crease of this right hip. All right, now just like you did in sitting, remember I told you if you push your hands into your legs, you can kind of decompress and lift your body weight up off of your pelvis? That's what I want you to do right now. So take your hands onto your towel, take a nice deep inhale and lift your body up. And then as you exhale, let the belly start to come over that towel. Then slowly, very slowly, drop yourself down onto your elbows if you can. Now, you should feel that in your buttock area. All that the towel is doing is giving your hip joint a little bit more space. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin, rest yourself down into this position, and just let your left leg do nothing today. Don't worry about it. See if you can just slowly melt your belly into your thigh. Take the deepest inhale into your belly that you can, and then exhaling out. Let's do that one more time. Deep inhale into the belly, and then exhaling out. You've got it. Pushing yourself up onto your hands walking your hands up onto the bolster, moving your towel out of the way, bringing the left leg forward and the right leg backwards. Now, as you get into this position, check in with your alignment. So make sure you've got yourself that your sit bone on the left side is on the bolster. Right leg, we're not going to focus on the psoas today. So just kind of leave it. It's kind of like a modification to Z pose. And then have the left knee so that it's in the center of the yoga mat lined up with the center of your chest. All right, let's decompress the left hip joint. So take that towel, put it up and into the crease of that groin. Once you have yourself in that position, take a nice deep inhale and literally lift yourself up and over the towel. And as you exhale, gently allow yourself to come up and over that towel as you begin to fold. And then very slowly dropping yourself down onto your elbows if you can make that happen. Lengthen your neck, settling your chin. Now, wherever you are with that towel and your positioning, see if you can slowly let your belly sink into your thigh. Hold yourself, relaxing that belly into the thighs. Let's do 2 breaths. Nice deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. One more time, deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. You've got it. Slowly pushing the arms up, walking yourself up your mat, walking yourself up your bolster, and then sliding yourself off the end of the bolster. Now, just take your bolster and bring it off the end of your mat so that you've got it. You're already laying on your left side. Keep that towel. We're going to use it one more time once we lay on our back. But take your yoga block and use it as a fake pillow. So you're going to lay your yoga block on your yoga mat, and then you're going to lay yourself down onto your side. So once you make yourself down onto your side, you can change the height of your pillow simply by rotating and changing the position of the yoga block. But in this position, allow yourself to feel like your shoulders are stacked one on top of the other, and your knees are stacked on top of one another, and your leg bones are in line so that your knees and hips are parallel. All right, now we're going to do a couple of things in this position to really work on strengthening these outer hip muscles. Because most individuals that have worn out hips, groin injuries, impingement in their hip, they have weakness in their hip muscles. So let's take the opportunity here to strengthen through some of these muscles. So take your right hand and bring it down and hold onto the left inner thigh. That's going to stop you from rotating your pelvis and your back here. And then take your right leg and slide your right leg all the way straight and out. So you can place your right foot on the floor if you've got enough flexibility to do that. We're not focusing too much on the tensor fascia lata and IT band and lateral glutes today, but I want you to make sure that in this position you feel like your pelvis is not rotating backwards. All right, now here's what I want you to do. Take an inhale, lift that leg up in the air so that the leg lines up perfectly with your pelvis. Lengthen the leg out. Tighten the abdominals, having the exhale here. All right, let's move through movement. Keep these abdominals tight. Can you inhale and lift that leg up? The pelvis doesn't move, the back doesn't move. Nothing is moving. Can you exhale and line that leg perfectly up with the pelvis? Inhale, lift it. Exhale, line it up with the pelvis. 3 more times. Inhaling and lifting. Exhaling and lowering. And inhaling and lifting. Exhaling and lowering. One more time for me. Inhaling and lifting. And exhaling and lowering. You've got it. Slide that right knee in so that it stacks up. Now, what I want you to do is slide both legs down. So have it so that your hips, your trunk, and your ankles all line up, and then place your right hand on your pelvis. So clamshells, real good exercise for strengthening those hip rotators that we've got that oftentimes are weak and inhibited in our hips that have groin pain. So in this position, be significantly conscious. Feel that your pelvis doesn't move. Take an inhale and lift the right knee off of the left knee. And then as you exhale, drop it back down. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, dropping it back down. 3 more times. Inhaling and lifting. Exhaling and dropping. You've got it. Inhaling and lifting. Exhaling and dropping. One final time here. Inhale and lift. And exhale and drop. Very nice. Now, slowly bring yourself up onto your left elbow. Take your block and just move it away from you for a minute. We're going to use it again on the opposite side. But did you know that side plank is one of the best exercises to strengthen our weak hips? Probably not. So we're going to practice a side plank here. Now, you got to have some health to your shoulders to do this. But what I want you to do is stack your elbow directly underneath your shoulder and have it so that your index finger is straight out from your elbow. Now, in this position, take your bottom leg and straighten your bottom leg down so it lines up with your trunk. Take that top right leg and place it on the mat in front of you. So it's going to help you lift into your plank if you do not have enough strength. Now, point those toes up towards your head on that left foot. Take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, tighten those abdominals, lift your hips up off the mat. All right, now this might be where you stay, pushing down into that right leg. But let's make it a bit harder if you can do it. Option number 2, take that right leg, stack it on top of that left leg. Option number 3, take that right leg and lift it up into the air. And then finally, adding more balance, if you want to, take that right hand up into the sky. Take a deep inhale here and an exhale. One more time, guys. Nice deep inhale and exhale. Drop the right hand down, drop the right foot down, drop the pelvis down. How did you do? Bring yourself up into sitting just long enough to sweep yourself over onto your right side. So, if it was really difficult for you because you got problems in your shoulders, that's okay. Just do what your shoulders can do. But if it was difficult for you because you've got weakness in your hips, all right, well, then I hope you're adding one more tool to your toolbox to fix the weaknesses in the lower half of your body. Lay yourself down on your right side. Use your pillow as your your yoga block as your fake pillow again. Stack those shoulders up, stack those knees up for a moment. And once you have all of that happening, then take that upper hand and put it into the inner thigh on the right leg. Once you're there, just take that left leg and slide it down your mat. Once you have that left leg down your mat, again, we're not focusing on stretching the outside today since we're focusing on the inner thigh and trying to fix those issues. So holding yourself in that position, allow yourself to inhale your left leg up in the air. And then as you exhale here, just check in that everything is in alignment. So the leg is in alignment with the floor. The pelvis isn't rotated. The trunk isn't rotated. All right, let's do some movement to keep those abdominals nice and braced and tight. Don't let your back and pelvis move. Can you inhale and lift your leg up into the air? And then can you exhale and slowly drop it down? Nothing should be moving but your left hip joint here. Abdominals are tight. Inhale, lift that leg up. Exhale, dropping that leg down. 3 more times. Inhale, lift that leg up. Exhale, dropping that leg down. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, drop. One more time. Inhaling, lift. And exhaling, drop. You've got it. Slide that leg in, stack it on top of the right leg. And then once you have them both stacked, slide the legs downward so that the trunk and the left hip and pelvis and the ankles are all lined one on top of the other. Then take that hand up onto this left pelvis. Make sure nothing is moving. Doing a clam for those hip rotators, keeping yourself right here. Everything is super still, keeping the abdominals tight. Take an inhale and lift that left leg up in the air. And then as you exhale, slowly lower it down. The slowly lower is just as important as the lift. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. 3 more times. Inhaling up, exhaling down, and inhaling up, exhaling down. One final time here. Inhaling and lifting, and exhaling and lowering. You've got it. All right, now pushing yourself up, taking that block, moving it out of your way, trying the side plank for these right gluteal muscles. So let's do everything with alignment correctly. So get your elbow directly stacked underneath your shoulder. Line up that forearm forward so that the index finger is lining up with your elbows. Then in this position, bottom leg goes straight, top leg, bend it up so that the left foot is on the floor. You get to use your left leg to help you here if you stay in the easiest way of doing plank, side plank. All right. Take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, tighten and brace through your abdominals. Push yourself up. Make sure that those right toes are pointed up towards your head. Position number one, you can choose to stay here. Position number two, can you stack your feet one on top of the other? Pelvis and rib cage stay straight. Position number three, can you lift your leg up in the air? Oh yeah, and then finally, can you add that balance and lift that left hand up into the sky? Hold yourself right here. Give me that nice deep inhale. And exhale, and then drop the left hand down, the left foot down, and then the pelvis. You did it. Now, slowly bring yourself over onto your hands and knees and walk your knees the width of your mat. Now, in that position, what we're going to do is a modification of frog pose here. So once you have your knees the width of your mat, walk them a little wider if you can, but take the ankles with you. Now, make sure that your knees and your hips stay stacked at all times. Full frog pose for these hip joints. Can you bring yourself down onto your elbows? Now, slowly imagining the knees going away from one another. Lengthening your neck, settling your chin, taking a nice deep inhale here. And exhale. Can you do one more breath? Nice deep inhale. And exhale, and then drop yourself down onto the floor. Bring your legs down onto the mat. Rest your hands down so that your head can rest into your hands. Get your pelvis in a comfortable position here. We're going to do one military crawl on each leg, just to really make sure that we're loosening up through these groins. So here's what I want you to do in this position with your head resting down to the floor. Take a moment here to feel how much of your pelvis is touching the floor on the left and the right side. And then slowly take your right leg and crawl it up onto the floor until your knee meets the length of or height of your head. Now, in that position, you'll feel that the right pelvis came off the floor. So can you take a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, try to pull the right pelvis and the right inner thigh into the mat and floor. Take a nice deep inhale into your belly and exhaling out. One more breath, deep inhale into the belly. Exhaling out, slide that right leg straight back down the mat, and then take that left leg up so that the hip lines up with the knee and the leg is straight out to the side. So can you see all that military crawl is a half frog? So that's what we're doing here. So if frog was too difficult for you, this is the pose that you want to focus on. All right, now in this position, take a nice deep inhale, and as you exhale, really focus on pushing that left inner thigh and that left pelvis down towards the floor. Holding in that position, give me a nice deep inhale and an exhale. One more breath, nice deep inhale. And an exhale. Beautiful. Slide that left leg in, place the hands under the shoulders, tuck your neck in, nice and long chin tucked, push with your elbows, and find yourself back into child's pose. Sit back onto those heels, drop that head, give me a deep inhale here. And exhaling out. One more breath, nice deep inhale in. And exhaling out. You've got it. Bring yourself up just long enough to turn over onto your side. Gently roll onto your back. Can you find that towel? Where is it relative to you? And then once you've got that towel, take your left leg straight down the mat. Take that towel, place it in the groin on the right hip, and then slowly bring that right hip upwards towards your chest. Now, you want that towel to stay in your groin. So if all it does is slides upward onto your belly, then the towel might be just a little too big. Really simple, easy decompression for the right hip here. Take a nice deep inhale, and then as you exhale, slowly pull your knee into your chest. One more time, deep inhale. Exhaling, knee into chest. You've got it. Dropping the left foot down onto the floor, sliding the right leg up. Sliding the left leg up, sliding the right leg down, and then putting that towel into the groin of the left leg. And then taking an inhale, lifting that left leg up. And then as you exhale, starting to feel that leg bone going up and over that towel, decompressing that beautiful left hip. Taking a nice deep inhale here. And then exhaling, knee into chest. You've got it. And slowly releasing the left foot to the floor, sliding the right leg back up. One bridge pose. Got to do bridge because this is about the anterior groin today. So can you make sure that your feet feel for you like they're about 6 inches apart on the floor, and that your shin bones are running so that your knees are stacked on top of your ankles? Now tighten and firm your abdominals. Take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, push your knees over your toes, squeeze your glutes, feel what's happening through your quadriceps. Keep the abdominal braced. Stay right here. Give me a nice deep inhale and an exhale. One more breath, deep inhale. And an exhale, drop the pelvis down onto the floor. Bring the right knee to the chest. Bring the left knee to the chest. Nice deep inhale in. Exhaling, relaxing the knees into the chest. Now you would think, yes, yoga class is almost done, but we've got one more thing to strengthen, and that is our abdominals. So take your knees and stack them just above your hips, meaning just in front of your hips. Take your toes and point your toes towards your head, but drop your heels downward. Shoulder blades are down, lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Take your hands, place them on the front of your thighs. Make sure that you feel like your pelvis is nice and flat onto the mat, but there's a little bit of an arch of your low back. All right, start to push your hands into your knees into your thighs, and try to lift your fingertips up towards the ceiling. Feel that beautiful shaking that happens to your lower abdominals as they're communicating with those psoas muscles and all those deep core muscles. Holding right here for me. Can you take a deep inhale in and an exhale out? And one more breath. Nice deep inhale in and exhaling out. Beautiful. Just gently pull the knees to the chest. And then place the right foot on the floor, followed by the left. Find your yoga block one last time. Slide the left leg down on, keep the left leg bent. Take the right ankle and bring it up and over the left knee. Not sure where my head was right there. Take your left hand and place it underneath your left bottom. Take that block and place it against your right knee. Now in this position, gentle opening for that outer hip and that anterior capsule. Nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, just gently pushing that knee out. Now, if you feel the left pelvis lift off the floor, push into your hand. If you felt like you changed your back position, then play with tucking your tailbone under or arching your back and finding neutral. Holding this position, giving me a nice deep inhale into your belly and exhaling out. One more time, deep inhale in and exhaling out. And then slowly taking the block away from the right knee. Right foot comes to the floor. Left hand is away from underneath your bottom. Left ankle onto the right knee. Right hand underneath the bottom, block against the left knee. Now, in this position, check in that your pelvis feels equal and flat and you're pushing into that right hand. Back is in its neutral position. Take a nice deep inhale here. Exhale, push that left knee away. Now sit into that right hand. Don't let yourself rotate into your pelvis and your low back. Keep the rotation for the left hip. Give me a nice deep inhale here. And exhale out. And one more breath, deep inhale in. And exhale out. Beautiful. Releasing the block away from the knee. We're all done with the block. Uncrossing the leg, placing the left foot on the floor. Now take your right leg straight down the mat, left foot onto the right thigh. Reach the right hand for the left knee. Left hand out to the side of your body. Take a nice deep inhale here. And then on the exhale, start to pull the left knee across your body. Lift the pelvis, lift the low back, lift the rib cage. Allow yourself to settle into that left shoulder blade, lengthen your neck, turn your gaze towards the left, maybe even looking at your left hand. Nice deep inhale into the belly. Exhaling out. One more deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. Slowly bringing your head back to the center, starting at that rib cage, derotating it, followed by the low back and pelvis, followed by the hip, and then placing the left foot on the floor, sliding the right leg up, left leg down on the floor, right foot up onto the left thigh, left hand to the right knee, right hand out to the side of the body. Nice deep inhale. Gently exhale, pulling that right knee out to the side, to the left, lifting the low back and the pelvis and the rib cage, focusing on that right shoulder blade, staying down on the mat, lengthening your neck, settling your chin, and taking your gaze to your right hand. Deep inhale into the belly and exhaling out. One more breath, deep inhale in and exhale out. Slowly turning your head back to the center, starting at that rib cage, unrotating down first, followed by the low back and pelvis, followed by that knee. Place the right foot on the floor. And here's what I want you to do today for Savasana. Slide that left leg back up. Take the bottoms of your feet together. Slowly allow yourself to let those knees fall out to the side. One final butterfly pose, but laying down, so-called supta, for down, for laying on your back, supine in Latin, supta baddha konasana. Roll your shoulder blades underneath you. As you rest in this position today, can you focus on completely relaxing through your buttock muscles? Completely relaxing through your inner thighs? Completely relaxing through your hips. Taking a nice deep inhale into your belly and exhaling out. Inhaling in and exhaling out. Now being incredibly aware of your hips and your legs. Can you slowly start to lift those butterfly wings upward until all of a sudden the bottoms of your feet come flat on the mat and the legs gently rest together. And then one final time, take your knees to your chest. Take a deep inhale and exhaling knees to chest. Oh, how did you do with your hips today? Now slowly allowing yourself to drop your feet to the floor, rolling yourself over onto your side, smiling because you accomplished something great today. Taking a deep inhale. And then as you exhale, bottom elbow, top hand, pushing yourself up into a seated position. Hands to heart. Nice deep inhale in. Exhaling out. Namaste. The highest in me salutes the highest in you. Thank you, guys. All right, you did it. Thank you for joining me today.